Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Yar Salek with us today. He's a co-founder, CTO, and president at Deepcell in Menlo Park, California. Has been it's at that company for 7 years now. Previous to that, he was at Google, Microsoft, and a whole bunch of other cool companies. So I'd like to have you on, Yar. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Well, thanks for having me, Charles. I think you summed it up. Yes, I'm here at Deepcell. We are building tools for life sciences using AI. And in particular, what my company does is bringing a new understanding of cells using high resolution imaging with AI on top and with uh, a robotic arm that can act on it. So it's really like a robot that we act on cells.
Right.
That's as far as the professional goes. Personal part, I'm a new father again. So I have a 6 months old and a 5-year old that keeps both of us pretty busy. Uh, I think that's pretty much like 95% of my life these
Right.
days.
And that's not your first company. I see you introduced canola oil in Iran in 2001. So that was your first one. Then you were quite early on the AI wave as well, right? Like with Emotifold. So you've sort of been between entrepreneurship. I see also some kind of academia
Mhm.
and corporate sort of. So what brought you to where you are today with Deepcell? What has you staying in that crazy entrepreneurship world and not going back to research or corporate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against it. I think each of these tracks give you its own high, if you call it. I think everybody should actually try selling something in their life if they haven't already. So I think that's kind of like an essential skill. Even if you want to just be pure researcher, you actually have to sell something. And that's what I did initially when I was back in Iran. We imported this cooking oil that never existed there before. So we went to supermarkets and we were like, well, try this one. And they were like, what is this? What kind of the seed is canola? So it was a very interesting experience. And that was, when I was like 17, 16. So that definitely was a formative experience for me. But generally, I think the thing about entrepreneurship that attracts me most is like the combination of skills that you have to have in addition to grit and in addition to like cautious optimism. So those things combined just makes this an incredible journey.
Right. And what are your super skills, right? Because you have a pretty diverse career. What makes you such a great entrepreneur at Deepcell, and how have you grown Deepcell to where it is today?
Yeah, well, uh, I think the way I would say, well, I hope this also characterizes myself. But what I see in great entrepreneurs is, in addition to what I said about, the realistic or optimism plus grit, etc., is this ability to think first principle. I definitely see myself as thinking first principle. I like to think about things in the most simple way and try to draw connections, like connect the dots, even between things that don't really look like each other or are not related to each other. Yeah.
As a first principle thinker myself, it's quite hard for me to picture AI not replacing pretty much 90% of the workforce in the next 10 to 20 years. Do you agree with that?
I think, frankly, we do not know, and the extent that we do not know is like the way I describe it is following. It's like you're looking into a foggy scene. You can actually pretty much see everything, within the 5 meters. And you feel like, well, and for me, meters in our world is like 5 years. We could actually see like how, yeah, self-driving cars are gonna start replacing. We're gonna see like how in within life sciences, these tools and these new methods are going to improve our health, etc. But can we see 20 meters or 30 meters? No. And it's just as impossible to see that now. So then it gets to like how we feel about things that we don't see. Looking at the history of humankind, we've been at this kind of a transformative juncture a few times down the road. Maybe the last time was, at the industrial revolution, and well, when we thought, well, humans are going to be useless because everything is going to be done by the machine. Of course, we saw that that didn't happen. When we invented the printing press, we thought that, well, uh, knowledge is just going to be everywhere, and people don't really need to hustle, but we still know that people do need to hustle. And so I just think this is another turning point which is going to transform how we're going to do things, but it's not going to just disappear or make jobs disappear. One more thing I would say is, and this is really profound in my opinion, jobs by themselves don't have any value, right? I mean, I don't think anybody just assigns an intrinsic value to jobs. We assign value to jobs because it gives us purpose. It also makes a living for us. So if we can replace jobs with other things that gives us a purpose and make us a living, then I don't know why would anyone complain if jobs are gone.
Right. I mean, yeah, people work for money, right? They don't work for purpose. It's maybe like 5 to 10%, and that is only like a specific class of individual, like very educated people. Like most of people, they struggle. It's not even a job; it's a struggle, right? They work for money to put food on the table, and that's it, you know. And if they would be given the opportunity to not work or to do something that they like, right, for fun and just be paid through UBI, they would take that option. So yeah, by 90% of the workforce, I referred to paid work. I do think people are always going to do something, because if we
Mhm.
don't, yeah, that's we get like psychologically ill, and we try to distract ourselves in unproductive stuff. But for me, the first principle in there is just that business is about money. I think that the extra layers are sort of a bit woke, you know, and it's oh, we should include everyone. No, like business is about cash, and
Mhm.
investors at the top decide of that. And I'm not saying that's how it should be, but that's definitely how it is. Like business exists to for economic purposes, right? And to ultimately to get, it's a beautiful system because consumers can get a nice product at the end of that. And where I am coming from with the 90% slash is just that if I have an option as a business owner to hire an agent that is 10,000 times more productive, and we're already seeing that the tech is already there, it's just like my adoption is probably not there, and the right person at the right time presenting to me their solution. If I have the choice between an AI and a human, I'll definitely choose the AI. The DHR process is a pain. The human is unstable. It's not connected to my API stack. If I'm an online company, of course, because if I'm a physical company like yours, it's yeah, probably not right on that one, because you need like people on the field testing stuff,
Mhm.
hardware manually, right? So, but yeah, that's sort of what I'm referring to, and I think most of the business nowadays are becoming online, sort of coming from that angle. But if we take cancer, for example, which is your field, right? And the 5 meter analogy, yes, but I think I can see the end of it. It's just unclear how it will happen and how much time it will take. But for cancer, I've talked with various biotech founders and CEOs like you, and you seem quite deep in the space there. Can we agree that yeah, cancer will be a thing of the past in the next 10 years for sure? And if so, at what probability and why? What will happen in between?
I wouldn't say for sure. So one thing I see missing in understanding cancer is, well, first off, as people say, cancer is not just one disease; is a number of many diseases, which we all call them cancer. And what we so one thing that we have been categorically wrong in the past when it comes to biology and life sciences and healthcare is that we start engineering the system before we learn about the system. So we start like pushing, buttons and moving components from our body or etc. without really knowing why they're there. And I think we've been doing the same thing with cancer. Now, with many simple systems, that actually works. That's the way to you learn the system. With biological systems, that has not been very helpful, ethical, and obviously very slow also from the regulatory point of view. And as an example, right now we know how to edit somebody's gene. We know how to do that, but we don't know what to edit, where to edit. We have no idea what is there to edit. That's just one example. And I think that's the kind of the mentality that we have all around. So what I'm going to come at is um, before we become more humble, admit our lack of understanding, and push more into understanding rather than just changing our bodies, we cannot solve cancer. So I know I sound like a pessimist here, but I think this is
Oh
just
no, you
realistic.
don't. You sound very realistic, which is great. How can we discover faster how to edit at the right places? Is this that deep? Is it that deep of a rabbit hole?
Um, it's definitely it's something that we underinvest over and over. Like one thing at Deepcell, what we do is we're like, well, we're going to build a machine that not only allows you to do stuff, but also allows you to discover new insight. Um, and I think there are companies who are doing that, but not as many as they should be. So we have a lot more money that goes to therapeutics rather than life science discovery, etc. So and that's where the capitalism pushes. That let's start changing and let's start doing stuff. So I think it should be in conjunction. The both efforts should be in conjunction. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's not something that we are unable to do. It's just the human nature that we gravitate towards changing stuff before understanding them.
right. And isn't step one sort of commercializing research because academia's models sort of limited, right? Like it seems to me
Absolutely.
that there's a great correlation between getting funded by VCs moving fast, sort of breaking things while staying legit and under regulations as well. But it seems that we move infinitely faster and then sort of protect these discoveries in some sense, but also being open source so that the world can benefit. What do you think about these points?
Absolutely. I think so. Well, I don't want to undermine the academic endeavor because a lot of what we have already, if we didn't have that slow, rigorous academic process, we would have never achieved what we achieved in the industry. But there is definitely a chasm between the kind of pace and the kind of the urgency that academia faces versus the real problems that we have to solve. Otherwise, we're going to have biological crisis, we're going to have climate crisis, we're going to have energy crisis, and that's where the industry comes. Now, public markets, they have very low tolerance and appetite for longer term plans. We're basically moving quarter by quarter and being judged quarter by quarter. VCs have a little more patience and appetite, but I would say for some of these huge problems that we are facing as humanity, we need some other kind of financing that gives ourselves the room to tackle these problems.
And is this the main bottleneck for you, your main frustration, lack of capital? Because in the end, VCs also want return, right? So it needs to make sense for them. Is that the main bottleneck in biotech and life sciences?
I mean, we've been lucky to be supported by some of the best VCs and basically have their confidence and trust in us. So, but I think as a whole, biotech has suffered. Some of them is also self-inflicted wounds because we have previously overpromised and underdelivered. So the market has its own doubts about the future. And I think when it comes to biotech, this kind of like hyperbolic promises that we see all across the Silicon Valley should be even more uh, done with cautious, because this is human lives.
Right. Not to mention Terranos, right? But is because AlphaFold has been game changing in this space in the last couple of years. Like, what does it take to have an AlphaFold or a Chat GPT moment in the industry in which the barriers are broken and the innovation starts 10xing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one reason that AlphaFold was a huge success was because they found a way to train a model that doesn't really depend on outside data. So it was basically based on reinforcement learnings, and the model just plays with itself. And I think that's the biggest bottleneck, because not every single the vast majority of biology problems require data, and the data right now is held in silo across different companies. There is no equivalent of internet for biology that a company like ChatGPT or OpenAI could go and just scrape the data and just build the model. So there needs to be, I think, the companies who would hold the key to the future of that moment are the ones that not only have access to data, but are prepared to consume that data. Because some of, again, the more traditional large life science companies, they do have access to data, but they don't have the means and the infrastructure to consume that data.
And why is no one building this? Like aggregating all that data, making it digestible, like a scale AI, but for life sciences.
Uh, Various reasons. I think the main reason comes from the fact that these large companies are fearful in sharing their data, because a lot of there's a very large upfront investment, for instance, to get to a successful molecule or drug. uh, and once that investment is done, well, very few succeeds, and at that point there's a high degree of protection for that data, or any data that allows a competitor uh, to fast track the next development cycle. um, so part of it is that. Part of it is just lack of understanding of, these are uh, a generation of leaders, founders, etc., that come from very different background. They don't understand the power of data. And then the regulatory government is a big piece into it. And government is also educating itself right now on the value of data, and like how to protect data, etc. And I would say it's not educating itself at the pace that it should.
Right. And next, what's next for Deepcell and you? What are your main objectives for this year?
So we uh, started commercializing last year, very limited, starting with basically the key opinion leaders in our field. And last year was an incredible year for us because it was the first year that we actually saw our machines in the hands of the customers, and we understood their real excitements, real disappointments, etc. Now this year we are scaling that across the globe, and we are very excited to finally having this product at the hands of more customers.
Of that. Well, wishing you good luck on that, Yar. Where can people find out more about you and the company?
So our website is www.deepcell.com, and you can also reach out to us info@deepcellbio.com.
That was Yar Salek, and